Hi guys, welcome to the Chelsea Skidmore Show. I'm here today with my guest, friend, beautiful woman, fit female, and extraordinary comedian and actress, Leah Lamarr.
Chelsea, what an introduction.
I found it as I was going, but I didn't have to search hard.
I feel like I could say the same things about you.
Okay. No joke, my temperature just rose 10 degrees.
I'm sweating bullets right now.
Are you really?
Yeah, why am I sweaty?
Because I'm fucking nervous for how fun this is going to be.
It's going to be great.
I'm
stoked.
God. So when you arrived, I have this thing that happens when I have podcast guests. We start making small talk about the day.
Yeah.
As one does.
Got to be honest, feels like really big talk. You know what I mean?
Right now?
No. Just what happened earlier. I feel like you diminished how much pain I'm in.
And I felt so bad about that. And I was like, oh, wait, can you save that for the podcast? And then I was like, did I just like silence her?
It was all I ever wanted.
Did you feel like...
my story deserved a greater platform. I appreciate that.
And there it is. Thank you. So now as if you never told me, Leah, what happened today?
Yeah, I pulled a muscle in my neck.
Jesus.
I know. It's like you didn't even hear it before. I can barely move my neck and I feel like 100-year-old woman.
Zero rotation.
We're
talking no right, no left, no front, back, side to side.
No, look out when I'm driving.
Ooh.
Yeah, not making left-hand turns. Just making all right-hand turns.
Took you 2 hours to get here. Drive 10 minutes.
I had to go all the way to Compton, come back up.
I've never been to Compton. Have you?
You're very privileged.
Have you?
Once.
Where is it?
South.
South?
Yes, it's just south. Do you know where Inglewood is?
Near the airport?
Wait, maybe I haven't been to Compton.
We haven't been.
Damn.
We would know. It'd be like, there'd be a sign, now entering Compton.
I just realized I'm very white.
Where is it though?
South. That's all the information I have. You know when people live in New York and they're like, where did Jews go to die? And they just say South.
No, I've never heard that.
They just mean Florida.
Okay. So it's like, you know where is it near Boyle Heights?
Where's Boyle Heights?
I'm not sure.
Wow.
No.
Yeah, it was good,
I think it's downtown.
Oh. Yeah.
Near
that sounds right.
Yeah, like past Silver Lake, a little in that where it gets kind of weird.
Right.
Where it gets a little foreign.
No man's land.
Fuck. Should we stop? How close can we go before?
It's too late for us.
We're too late. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
we will never have careers.
Heard it's a great place.
Yeah.
Anyways, so.
Anyway, my neck is killing me.
That's happened to me one time. I woke up and I think I must have slept on it wrong, which I'm wondering if that's.
No, this has been like this since Thursday.
Oh.
And I didn't tweak it or anything. Like I didn't feel it happening in the moment. It just.
And just to check, it's Tuesday?
Yeah.
So we're looking at about 5 days.
Yeah. I got a massage on Saturday, and halfway through the massage, she was like, "You're going to have to come back again." I'm like, maybe you just fix it this time, or.
And that's funny because she didn't fix it?
No.
Did you speak up for yourself and say?
I did, but I also recognized that she probably didn't have the tools to fix it. It seemed like I didn't go to someone who understood muscles. I just went and got a cheap massage.
Yeah.
She was helpful.
So what that brings up for me is I went to this new therapist who I stopped going to. I went to him twice and I would bring something up and he would go, "Oh yeah, that's a boundary issue. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that next time. But what else is going on?" And I'd be like, why aren't we talking about it now?
You're like, how about stop taking my money and just help me?
So that's exactly what I thought of when you said that, which is why I wanted the story repeated, to have this aha moment.
I hate that guy, by the way.
I know. He's fucking horrible. Yeah. I stopped going to him.
I would make a Yelp just to write a review.
He's not good. And his past training was, he was a yoga teacher.
That's the most LA thing I've ever heard.
And when I heard that, I was like, I'm done. I'm sorry. Like, there's certain things you want to not know about someone who you feel like is a professional who's like, I wouldn't want to know that my doctor 3 years ago was a stand-up comedian or something. Do you know what I mean? Or like,
yeah. What are you going to do? Make a joke while you're doing open heart surgery on me? Like, let's focus on the job.
Yeah. And you don't want that funny. Isn't that, someone was saying this, might have been Steven. You don't want like a funny doctor.
No, you want someone who's so serious they can barely comprehend regular society.
I just went to a neurologist finishing up stuff from my accident, and he was not funny at all. And he did this thing where he was reading my results. It was my last appointment, and he was telling me about my MRI and the EEG, that other test. And he took literally 5 minutes to answer it. And he was like, okay, that is okay. And then I was like, why are you taking so long? And I feel like they fucking do it on purpose.
He was just Googling. Wow.
No, he had the paperwork right in front of his face.
No, I just mean he was Googling the answer. He's like, what does that number mean?
It's crazy. That's like, I've gotten an AIDS test before and they took like 5 minutes. They're like, and you don't have AIDS. I was like, what?
You're like, that could have happened a little faster.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced that before?
No, but I feel like I've experienced people who don't understand humor, and that's super frustrating.
Yeah.
I was at this show and I made a joke about something, and then this woman broke down the joke and she was like, oh, was that a joke? Did I completely destroy it and not understand?
Wait, was she
had no sense of humor.
An audience member?
No, this was just like, it was a musical. And I just leaned over to say something to her. And it was like her brain couldn't register a joke.
Well, I don't think a lot of actors to me aren't funny.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And I say that from my experience of only being in acting classes. And in the past, I felt like I was like the weird one in my class and was always like saying something as a joke. And everyone would look at me like, the fuck is wrong with this person? So I made up a stereotype. Actors are boring.
Different skill sets.
Yeah. Do you know, right?
I just think because comedians are used to thinking of jokes on the spot, that it's so easy for you to just be able to like dish one out and for everyone to almost be taken aback. It could even just be if like a room of people don't think that quickly or aren't on that same wavelength. They're just like, wait, what are you even talking about?
Yeah. I gotta say, while we're talking, I've noticed this. The gold eyeshadow works.
Thank you so much.
That's a new color for you.
It is.
That's the color.
It's just a weird little light gold because I have gold in my eyes and I feel like I needed to bring them out.
Wow.
Yeah. So I just went for it.
Wow.
No eyeliner.
That's nice.
It's scary. It's really scary going without eyeliner. It feels like I'm not wearing a bra. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I wear eyeliner every single day. And the days I don't, I do sometimes look younger and my eyes look bigger, but it's scary for me to get over when I see myself. But I know someone else seeing you wouldn't probably think twice.
I feel like I look better with eyeliner.
Yeah.
I think I look just cleaner. I don't know if that makes any more, because just like right across the top. I feel like I look a little bit more Instagram friendly.
So on the subject of beauty, first of all, I mean, the crowd's got to know you have an incredible body.
Thank you.
You were great at working out. And I know we've explored this before, but what can you tell me about staying in shape, lean muscles, lengthening and leaning?
I hate to sound like a girl who moved to LA, but Pilates changed my body.
Okay.
I think that how it all started was I was training for a pageant. I was in Miss New York, which was super traumatic and ridiculous. And I learned a lot from it though. And in the process, I lost about 30 pounds in 9 months.
Wow.
I just had a lot of baby fat from college.
How old were you during this?
I don't know. It was before I moved here. So like 5 years ago.
Okay.
And
was that really just 5 years ago that you did the Miss New York thing?
I don't even remember what year it was. I'll have to look at my Instagram.
I want to know the story about, and I know I'm interrupting and jumping around, but I need like is it the precipice? Is that the right word?
The starting off point?
I need to know
the origin
how
story?
you decided to try out for Miss New York, what that okay.
I was so unhappy with my life. I was just really miserable, and I was not doing anything that was fulfilling me. I was always doing acting on the side, which I thought would be fine because I wanted to just appease my family. And I think that when you just live your life for someone else or someone else's dream or idea of what's good or acceptable, you're always going to be miserable.
Yeah.
There's just no way to feel happy that way. And so what I wanted to do, I wanted to just be a cocktail waitress and go on auditions. I was okay with that. And that's not what I was doing. And I was told, no. So I ended up working at the corporate headquarters of a bank. And I wanted to be in the front of the camera, but I didn't know how. And so I was always doing like theater on the side and just these little shows on the side. I was at UCB, but nothing felt really good. And so I thought, why not? I saw an ad on Craigslist.
Okay.
There was an ad on Craigslist.
It used to be different. You can't trust Craigslist anymore.
No, you can't.
Probably.
But there was an ad, and I went to an orientation meeting, and they made it seem so selective, and it was not selective. Anyone who pays can get in.
Barbazoa.
So I had to... What?
Barbazoa. Barbizon Modeling School.
Oh, basically the same. Yeah. And it cost so much money. I had to ask a lot of people for money. Now when I look back, it's pretty embarrassing.
How much?
I think it was $2,500 just to compete.
Wow.
But that's not how much. You have to get the right gown, the right bathing suit. All these things have to come from you have to buy them from the right sponsors.
Wow.
So it's all a game.
Okay.
And everyone talks. It's a very intimate circle. So the girl who won, I don't want to say that we knew she was going to win, but there was talk that everyone kind of already saw ahead of time that she was going to win, and she had a limo waiting for her, and half the audience was filled with her friends and family.
What do you mean she had a limo waiting for her?
Yeah, on the second night, there was a limo waiting for her.
Like as if she would be a winner leaving in a limo.
Yes.
Or not as a loser or a loser?
It would have been nice if I was a loser.
Was it a stretch limo?
It was a stretch.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, like the company had the limo.
No, I think her family.
Well, that's embarrassing.
Was like...
And supportive.
Yeah. But I heard that there was, through her modeling agency, they had a contract with her. And she'd been in the system for so many years.
Okay.
So it was kind of her time. And I got really fit for it. Once I realized I was going to be in a bikini under bright lights in the middle of January in New York.
Yeah.
I was like, I will look like a beached whale. I need to get my shit together. So I just started working out so much.
You had 9 months to prepare?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I would say that I looked like a bodybuilder compared to all the other girls because I was working out and eating super lean, but they were not eating. So a lot of these girls are what they call skinny fat. I'm sure you've heard the term.
I've been.
Yeah. So I remember we were eating a lunch and this one girl cut a baked potato into 100 pieces, had one bite and went to the bathroom. I was mortified for her, but she was super thin.
Yeah.
So, I mean, good on her, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, why are people giving me their bags to carry? I'm like,
shut up.
No, I'm just kidding. Like, am I here for the wrong competition?
Yeah.
No, I got very in shape, but it became my life and it was super unhealthy and I could not manage it. And I yo-yoed back.
What would a day look like
But
in that insanity?
I just want to say I yo-yoed back in 1 month.
You gained the 30 back in 1 month?
1 month. Yeah, that's how unmaintainable it was for me.
Well, that's how unattainable it was for a normal person.
Yeah. It took so long.
I will challenge you with that.
Thank you so much. It took so long and so much hard work to get it off.
Yeah.
And then I just right back. I mean, the second it was over, I ate a huge cookie cake and had 5 shots.
Yeah. That sounds like the second my wedding was over, I started eating.
Yeah.
And I did not stop until recently.
Right. Yeah, it's really hard to stop eating once you start eating
Well,
again.
when you've been starving yourself and like being really crazy and restricting, then when that thing is over, I mean, if there's nothing that's like holding you accountable to starve anymore, you're like, fuck it.
Yeah, you met your goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think, now I try to practice just living my life, period.
I can't imagine what, people like Christian Bale go through for films and how they gain and lose weight.
No, I think it's really unhealthy for you.
Totally.
And now I just try to do everything in moderation. Because if I work out too much, then I don't want to go to the gym for 3 days. So for me, I really only work out 4 or 4 times a week probably.
But that's still a very good number.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I mean, the thing is that I feel fine in my body.
Yeah.
If I felt uncomfortable, I mean, I had body dysmorphia for so long, and now I'm just happy to be happy and not thinking about it.
Totally.
So for me, this just feels like a gift to just be able to like wake up and be like, hey, I know what I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to go to the gym if I feel like it. If I don't, I'm not going to.
Mm-hmm. You're a pretty healthy eater though.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think because I'm allergic to so many things, it's a gift and a curse. It just cuts out. Well, the other thing is, so I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy. And when I do, it just destroys me. But the other thing is, even if I eat like a gluten-free vegan donut, I still feel sick from all the processed sugar.
Yes.
So it's not as if I don't eat it. I definitely eat it because I'm not crazy and I need it. But
yeah, I know that feeling. If I don't eat gluten or dairy, I'll get like really skinny in like 2 days too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't be eating dairy, but I do, despite the effects it has on me. It's hard to just like...
Sounds like an ex-boyfriend. You know?
Yeah.
Just keep going back to it. I love cheese so much that makes
me too.
really...
And I hate saying I love cheese.
I know. It's like
Isn't that gross? Why is that so gross?
I don't know. It is kind of gross. It's just...
I didn't eat it for the longest time.
There's so many different types of cheese too.
Yeah.
That I don't know. There's something weird about it.
I don't want to talk about it. There's something like not hot about talking about it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay, so you've seen the cheese on the babies' faces.
Yes, you told me about that, and it changed my life a little.
How disgusting is that?
What's wrong with people?
Okay, so there's a viral video sensation of people throwing cheese, like what I assume to be Kraft singles, which grosses me out for knowing that, at babies' faces, like infants.
It's like, at least we're real cheese, not American cheese.
It's so... Wait, what's real cheese?
Manchego, Jarlsberg.
That's Spanish.
Yeah, but it's real cheese.
Oh, really?
I feel like Kraft singles is made out of powder and water. You know what I mean?
Is that true? Oh.
I don't know what it's really made out of.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not good for you.
Because it's like... feels like an American lunch staple.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh,
feels
that's disgusting.
Like a Lunchable.
By the way, growing up, I like never was fed food like that.
Me neither.
Really?
Yeah, never.
What would your mom give you to take to school?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwich, bag of pretzels, half of a green apple, and a piece of dark chocolate.
Just half of the apple?
Yeah.
Is that why you quarter yours?
I mean, who can really say why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my mom used to give me pastina.
What
soup.
is that? Oh my God.
It's like an Italian soup in what are those called? Not a canvas. What are they called? Canteen.
Oh, a canteen. Yeah.
Not a can. I wasn't on a walk for a long time, but whatever.
You were
those
in the
things
desert?
A mug or whatever. And it's so funny. Sebastian Maniscalco talks about how his mom would give him pastina, or she'd give him like espresso and S cookies.
That's so funny.
I know. I've never had peanut butter and jelly.
What?
Yeah, you heard me. I've never had it.
I mean, the fact that you had soup at lunch in middle school, just I feel like you were 90.
I don't know. I think, well, I don't know. I feel like I was like bred to be an anorexic growing up.
Yeah, pretty much. You were drinking your meals.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like, I was
or
very
bred to
picky.
be an alcoholic.
Or what?
I said bred to be an alcoholic.
What part is the alcoholic part?
Oh, just drinking meals.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But
hold for tea?
Hold
on.
for tea break. No, I was a vegetarian.
For how long?
8 years.
You didn't watch a documentary first?
No, a friend from my summer camp, her mom and they were vegetarian. I thought it was really cool.
Really? Remember Stage Door?
Oh, do I remember?
Did you go?
I didn't go to Stage Door, but I had a friend who went to Stage Door.
This came up recently. I remember wanting to go really badly when I was younger, and I never got sent there, and I just started kind of thinking about that resentment lately.
Yeah, that's a pretty big resentment. That could have changed your whole life.
Stage Door was like a theater camp, and I really wanted to go to LaGuardia.
Yeah,
and I didn't get either of those.
Arts high school.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm pissed.
I mean, Stage Door, I'm really sad for you. I feel like that's where dreams started. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or end pretty quickly.
For sure. I mean, the other thing is because I was a vegetarian, my parents didn't really know what to do with me. So that's why I had peanut butter jelly every day.
Yeah. I saw like one of those food documentaries, and I think for like maybe a month or two, but then I like caved.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what happened was I was on a dock and we were visiting my mom's friend, and her 2 twin sons were around, but they just left me there on the dock. I was 12 and I just had a fishing rod and I never went fishing before.
How long did they leave you there for?
Who can remember? I was just bored, so I tried it.
Oh.
And I went to go fishing, and so I just swung it behind me and it hooked into the back of my thigh and I fainted on the dock.
Okay.
And then these 2 twin boys had to carry me back to the house, and they were like, "Oh no, little Leah fainted, little Leah." And then I think it was kind of like an ever since then sort of moment. It felt like a lot of things happened at the same time that let me think, oh, fish must hate this.
That's empathetic.
Yeah, but that
right?
empathy's gone now.
That's so funny. You know what's so funny? I had a hooking nightmare story. I hooked my brother's eyelid. I know.
In real life?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
We were fishing when I was younger, and I did that thing what's it called? when you like throw it back.
Yeah.
And I hooked his fucking eyelid. And it was like a huge deal, and it was like a dirty rod. I felt so bad. It was crazy. And my mom had to unhook his eyelid.
No.
It hooked his fucking eyelid, like the middle of his eyelid.
Being a parent sounds terrible.
Really? Do you not want to have kids?
I mean, I gotta unhook an eyelid. I don't know.
I know. I don't know. It's always so weird to me when I hear people say they don't. I don't know.
I've never had
I have a lot of
instinct.
girlfriends who don't want to have kids.
You have a lot of girlfriends?
Who I feel like I hear a lot of girls say they don't know if they want kids.
I don't want to say I don't want them, because then the universe will let me have that reality. But I think that I don't really have maternal instincts.
Yeah.
You know, when I see babies, I'm not like, oh my God, my ovaries.
But are you like that about puppies? Because I'm not either.
But not really.
Really? There it is. There's the truth. I'm sitting forward.
I mean, are your teeth gonna knot me? Like, what's the truth? Are those little nails gonna dig into my arm?
Babies' little nails?
No, puppies.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, whoa.
No, I don't know. What something about babies kind of freaked me out.
I don't think I've ever held a baby. It seems scary.
I was on set, and this is a year ago.
Sad story.
And I was supposed to, they go, oh, hold her like a toddler. And I literally.
What the fuck does that mean?
Apparently, she's just supposed to wrap her legs around me, and I hold her with one arm. And I just looked at everyone with just like mortified. I had no idea what was going on.
Like,
yeah. And just on the side.
On your hip. Yeah.
Yes, on my hip. And they were like, oh, have you never held a child before?
It's like, no.
Yeah, no. And they're like, oh, okay.
Have you ever?
It was so awkward for everyone involved. Oh, it had deer in headlights look. Like, I just didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that sounds embarrassing. But on the outside, like, I'm like, oh, that's not a big deal.
I know. But in the moment, it was just so odd because it seemed like the simplest direction to give someone. And I was frozen.
Any other set stories that stand out?
I mean, so many, but
embarrassing
that
moments.
just felt like it fit it. But I do want to say, going back to kids, I feel like I would adopt a kid. I think I've got wisdom. I think I would be a good guide, if that makes any sense. And I wish that, you know, I kind of had some of that guidance when I was a kid. I'm learning a lot now, really trying to reparent myself.
Yes. I'd love to talk more on that. Have you ever done the exercise when you write yourself a letter from your older and younger self?
I have, Chelsea. I have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one, huh?
It is a good one. It makes me cry.
Yeah.
Every time.
I don't think I've cried from doing that. But one, but an exercise that I do like doing on like, this is all in the realm. Oh, I'm sorry. This is all in the vein. I'm trying to find which word I want. This is all in the vein of like, work on self, you know.
Yeah. Working on yourself.
Self-help, working on yourself. The activity of writing 100 things I love about myself. Have you ever done that?
Woof. So
Did I
hard.
tell you about that?
No, but I have a friend that tells me, anytime I call her and I'm hysterical for some reason or just obsessing about something, she's like, hang up the phone with me, say out loud 100 things you love about yourself, and then call me back.
And then you never call back.
Yeah, that's the trick. She's really good at that.
Wow.
That bitch.
Yeah, I find writing that out really helps. Like I did that one time after a breakup, and it put me back together again.
Yeah.
It's not like narcissistic stuff. It's just like, you know, because I think I've grown so much, you know, and so have you. We all grow, hopefully. And, you know, learning to love myself is like a daily practice, but something that, you know, I've only kind of grown into. I mean, because in my early 20s, I was crazy and I had no self-worth and no self-esteem.
Same, girl. Same.
Yeah.
I'm at a place in my life, knock on wood, but I'm at a place in my life, I just realized this the other week, where if something happened, I'm dating someone, and I feel like if we broke up, that it wouldn't affect my self-esteem, and that this would be the first time I would ever feel that way.
When you told me that, I was shocked.
I'm still shocked when I say it out loud.
It's like, what?
Yeah, because the first question my therapist asked me was, okay, and then how does that make you feel about yourself? I said, fine, what do you mean? She goes, oh, that's interesting.
Wait, I don't get it. What was the question?
I was talking to her about a work situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, like rejection, we get rejected all the time. And there was this role that I really wanted.
Yeah.
And I was very close to getting, and I ended up not getting it. And
sorry.
Thank you. And she was like, how does that make you feel about yourself? And I was like, I mean, fine. I'm just upset I didn't get the job. And she was like, oh, okay. Like, I almost feel like she expected me to be like, oh, I feel shitty. Or like, yeah. And
you had.
Right. I used to sob. I used to be
oh my God,
uncontrollable, a wreck. I don't even know how I had friends.
Anytime I have an audition, I have not found the solution to this yet, but I'll give it my all. And then when I leave it, and like the next, usually that day, I like sink into like a deep depression. And then like the next day, sometimes I do, but then I get over it. But I don't really like sink into deep depressions, but I'll like set myself up for the rejection feeling.
Awfulizing.
What is it?
Awfulizing.
I've never heard that.
When you create the worst possible situation.
Wow. Yeah.
It's in a way protecting yourself from rejection. If you can already say you're not going to get it and you reject it yourself.
Like already feel those feelings.
Yeah. You know, you're like, well, I'll just dump you before you dump me sort of thing. If you feel like someone's going to break up with you. I remember in high school thinking, I was a freshman and I made the varsity soccer team. And then when I was a senior, I was saying to my parents during tryouts, I'm not going to make the team. I'm not going to make the team. And they were like, are you okay? You were on varsity the last 3 years. How could you not make the team? And then I was captain, you know, so it's like, but I created the situation where I really truly believed the worst possible outcome.
Yeah.
Or just made myself feel so sick about it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't let go of the result. It's because I was so uncomfortable living in the gray.
It's so hard for me to let go of results.
Yes.
And lately, like, I'm actually going to a psychiatrist on Friday because I want to talk to them about getting medication because I've had insomnia recently. And I'll get obsessed. Like, if I have an audition the next day or if I have like a show and I'm like thinking about my set or trying to memorize my lines, I get like, I can't fall asleep because I'll be like going over it in my head 100 times. And like, instead of like being able to fall asleep, and it'll be like it will be like my mind is so awake.
You just can't turn it off.
And I just can't shut it off. And I feel like I have to get some sort of like sleeping pill for nights when I have something to do the next morning, because time after time again, like recently, like it's been a huge problem for me. Like I'll be obsessing over something and then I can't fall asleep. Does that ever happen to you?
That used to happen to me. And I don't know what the solution is. I think just time.
Yeah.
Because the more you do it, the less it happens, if that makes sense. And I think the more you continue to work on yourself and you have more of an action plan for your life.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some times where this is not the same for me anymore, but there are some times when if I'm working on something, I can be up until 4 a.m. like an insane maniac.
Yeah.
And I can't go to sleep because I'm like, but there's so much work to be done still. And it's like, you can just go to bed. It's fine.
Totally.
But my brain is still racing.
And to like shut that down.
Yeah. It's
and
really
unwind.
hard.
What do you do to unwind?
I don't have a good unwinding practice. For me personally, I just take my makeup off and then I do a gratitude list before bed every night. I write 10 things I'm grateful for. I actually have a book. A friend gave this to me. It's not for this intention, but it's a 5-year book. And you're supposed to write 1 sentence every day. But instead, I just write 10 things every day that I'm grateful for. So it's cool to look back and see who I was grateful for the year before. I actually think you were on my gratitude list today.
Today?
2 years ago.
Okay.
I'll send you a photo.
Can I be on it tonight?
Yeah, you're going to be on it tonight.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's actually very cool because when you keep a regular gratitude list, I mean, either is helpful. You know what I mean? This isn't like better or whatever, but I just think it's really cool to look back and be like, oh yeah, on this day last year, I met with Chelsea and we were writing, or, and I got a free lunch from a friend, or just like whatever it is. It's cool to just keep remembering that good things happen year after year.
Yeah.
And it's cool to see my evolution because the things I was grateful for then have now maximized times 10 now.
I love that.
It's pretty cool. And then also I pray before bed.
Yeah. I do gratitude lists. I'm not good about doing it every single day. I used to be, but I usually do them in the morning because I feel like it's a good way to start your morning. But everybody always says to do it at night. I think I have to switch over to night and make it a daily thing.
In a way, I know this sounds so weird, but you know how they say never fight before bed?
Yeah.
In a way, I feel like this is the equivalent of it. It's like giving yourself a kiss goodnight.
I love that.
Yeah. And for me, I feel off if I don't do it now. Now I'll wake up feeling weird if I didn't do a gratitude list before bed. Like something's missing.
Do you meditate?
In the morning.
Every day?
No.
Yeah.
I try to, but my schedule's so erratic that I just can't do it at the same time every day. And I can't, if I randomly do it in the middle of the day because I have time, like great, but it's not regular.
Do you use apps or?
No.
Okay.
I have just a weird practice that I follow and that works for me. And I think that all the sensation that you need to have after is that you feel better.
Yeah.
You know, you feel light, you feel joy, your head feels clear. So it's whatever you do to meditate. Some people like to write instead of meditating. For them, that feels meditative. Yeah. And I used to do some morning pages and then meditate. And honestly, my self-care list just got so long.
Really?
I just feel like my routine was so long that I wasn't getting to what I needed to do that day.
I know what you mean.
You know? It's like make yourself a tea in the morning with lemon and then
do hot water with lemon.
Yep. Yeah. And then do your morning pages and then meditate and then stretch. And you're just like, I can't do everything.
It's so, so what does your self-care list look like today? What are the required things you have to do?
I think my top line behaviors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Meditation. Ideally would love to do it every day. I don't. That's something I'm saying out loud, telling on myself. Gratitude list before bed, pray before bed, making my bed in the morning, which sounds so silly, but honestly, it just changes my day. Totally. Exercise, going in nature is one of my top line behaviors. It just recenters me immediately. Calling friends, asking how their day is, taking the focus off myself, and going to open mic or doing stand up. And I mean, writing. So if I've done all of that in one day, I feel like an all-star. If I haven't, if I've done half, I still feel pretty good.
It's so, my list looks pretty much the same as yours. And it's so hard to do everything I want to do in one day and then have time for like career focus.
Well, and friends and a relationship and
those.
A job. And I mean, there's just so many things we have to do. And then also if you're like, oh, I have to get my nails done or I have to, I mean, maintenance is important. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just, there's just so many things we have to do to for our careers and then outside of our careers and then for ourselves. I don't know how Beyonce does it, but I'd like to know.
Fuck her. Anyways, I used to have such a hard time structuring my schedule, but it's gotten so much easier now because I feel like whatever resistances that I had, like people who are like, I never have enough time in the day, or like I can't like how do you get all those things done that you want to get done, or like how do you get all that work, how are you always doing that work? I feel like there's some sort of resistance for people when they're in that space because
fear of failure, fear of success.
Yeah. And I've thankfully gotten over that somehow.
That's
and
incredible.
I'm on the other side. Would you say you're on the other side of that?
I think I'm still working on it, to be honest. Fuck. I think I'm 90% the way there, but that there are some goals that I have that I haven't hit yet.
Yeah.
And I do think that I'm the one holding me back. It's no one else. I think I'm very self-aware when it comes to things like that, where I think, I have resistance to a certain few things. And
feel like sharing them or not today?
I think if I focused on just doing one thing at a time, that I could really excel. And I have resistance to that.
I know what you mean when you say that.
Yeah. But I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin. And so it doesn't allow me to really be extremely good in one thing. I feel very good across the board. I have my web series, I have my podcast, I'm doing stand-up, I'm blah, 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 blah. But like at the end of the day, it's this and then that and then this and then that. It's like you never really get to a place that you feel fully satisfied. Yeah, period.
I've heard a mix of things. I've had that same feeling before. I'm spreading myself too thin if I'm not focusing on one thing. I can't get really good at this one thing. You know what I mean? But the truth is that you and me both, we want to do too many things. And that's okay. And I had this conversation actually recently. Like my acting teacher was like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to be a writer. I want to be an actor. And I want to, be a comedian, stand up. And I also want to direct. And I was like, but, I feel like I'm spreading myself too thin. He's like, that's not true. He's like, everybody does all those things. And the way he said it so easily, like, no, that's not true. I was like, oh, that might be something I'm making up in my head. But something that I've changed is like, so if I'm working on something by myself, I get it done a lot easier than working on it with other people. So say if I want to write a pilot, and I can write a pilot with a friend, meet them 1 or 2 times a week, and we'll finish it, in a month or 2, doing it that way. By myself, I wrote a pilot in 2 days.
Wow.
It was crazy. And like, it's more, and then I realized like how much more efficiently I can work sometimes when I don't have distractions around me. So I felt like for me, what I find helpful is like, I kind of have to take it project by project sometimes and invest everything that I have into that one project. And I find then I get better results and I can still do other things. But like, I'll be like, if I really want to write like this is a thing I have a movie idea I want to write. So I know like what would help me with that is that every morning I worked on that for like 2 hours and then I did everything else I wanted to do. Or I would be like, these days I'm going to write and then those days I'm going to work on stand up. And like, it feels uneven, but you got to pick one thing to ultimately focus on for like a couple of months.
Right. Yeah, I feel like it would behoove me to just spend an 8 to 10 hour workday working on one thing. But the truth is that I have so many things happening that I feel like I have to tend to all of them.
I know.
And I don't mean I have so many things happening and like they're all flourishing
sort
of
way.
No,
we're fucking busy. Let's own it.
We're busy. We're busy women.
We're busy.
We're busy. I don't know. I think that, you can be, there's a reason why people know Quentin Tarantino as a director.
Yeah.
There's a reason why people know Wes Anderson as a director. they don't think of him as much as a writer. You think about him as a visionary, as a director, you know, and I think it's because they put all of their energy into that. And I think in my mind, sometimes I get twisted thinking, oh, you know, it's just easier if you push at one thing. Mm-hmm. But you're right. You know, you can be everything you want to be. It just takes a lot of work.
It's interesting. It's like, I look at someone like Whitney.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how she does what she does, but she seems to work very hard and has accomplished all of these things. I'm dying to know what her work schedule is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's possible to accomplish everything you want to accomplish, but finding a way to work efficiently.
I think also at a certain point you get a team.
Yeah.
Of people to help.
Yeah.
Who you trust.
Gotta trust them.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know anyone like that. But I think, yeah, I know. It's interesting when I think about Ali Wong.
Yeah.
It's kind of same feeling.
Yeah.
You know, because now she's really diving more into, I think she's doing voice acting and acting. Yeah. And I think that's really awesome. Mm-hmm. It's like your career can really take shape in any way, shape, or form, and you don't know how it's going to happen mm-hmm. or when or under what circumstance. And I think that's exciting and also terrifying. Mm-hmm. But
I always thought it was so crazy. Like, I remember Chris D'Elia when he was on that show Undateable, that he would work 12-hour days and then do 3 sets a night at different clubs.
Yeah.
And sometimes I was like, how is that possible?
I think once you start operating at a super high level and you have so much money coming in mm-hmm. that you don't need to worry.
You get used to it. And it's like, I also think obviously it's workaholism.
It could be, or maybe it's just such a high.
Yeah. Well, I know when I'm really busy, like I fucking love it.
Me too.
And I feel that high and it feels so good. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm doing everything I talked about wanting to do on Coke right now. You know what I mean?
So funny. Yeah.
But it's true. But then the downside to that is that I crash
so hard
and get really burnt out. And like, for example, like the last 2 weeks, every single night I've done a show, and which shouldn't feel like a big deal, but they were like, you know, some of it was like driving back and forth like mm-hmm. for 4 hours a day. And then it was, you know, and it just felt exhausting. On top of it, like dealing with, you know, Brody passed, 2 of my friends died in 1 week. A girl I went to high school with, and then Brody in 1 week.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah, she was my best friend in high school. And it's crazy because it's like, and then when you like layer all that stuff on top of like work stuff, you just feel like crazy.
You get exhausted.
And I hit my limit yesterday, and I like, you know, I was like, I don't have to go to potluck. Like I can go home and rest and try to watch Finding Neverland. Unfortunately, HBO didn't work.
What a nightmare.
I really want to watch it though.
I mean, I also haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So if you want to make a date,
that'd be fun.
Just let me know.
That'd be fun.
Yeah. I totally know what you mean. And before I released the first episode of my podcast, mm-hmm. I was in a K-hole of work. Mm-hmm. I could not stop working, and I created more work for myself, and I was operating at a level that was not maintainable, just like my diet and exercise. And then I yo-yoed back to literally being not functioning person. Same thing. Like I could not do anything for 3 days. Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. Because I did so much in such a concentrated amount of time. I'm like, how do people go to regular jobs every day?
And what?
I don't know.
Well, I think they have like, well, I don't know. Who are we talking about?
I just wonder if people are on Instagram all day at work.
Well, when I put my phone down and take a break, so many more hours. I have 27 hours in a day.
I put a limit on my phone.
Oh, you did that screen time thing?
Yeah.
Will you show me how to do it after? Someone just mentioned that to me.
And I ignored it, obviously, but it's crazy.
When I take a break, and I was really good about it, in the beginning of January, I took a break from social media. I just didn't go on as much, but what was helpful was I didn't want to go on that much. And I got so much done. And it's crazy how much it really affects your thinking and performance. Because like right now I'm in like an addictive state with it. Mm-hmm. You know, I go back and forth.
Oh yeah, I know that phase.
Yeah. And it's like, stop fucking refreshing. There's nothing updated.
Yeah, you've seen every
Nothing's
post
new
in the last 72 hours.
And I don't even want to watch these fucking people. But it really does take away from my focus, obviously.
I think it takes away from my focus too.
And creativity.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. I don't really come up with as many new thoughts, ideas, or jokes when I'm on social media. But when I take a break from it and I'm on like day 2 of like not being on social media, a lot of stuff starts coming to me and my mind is like so much clearer. It's insane.
Social media, I feel like, is a weird devil because you have to promote your shows and yourself and things you're doing and your podcast and this and that. But also, yeah, it's such a double-edged sword.
So,
but then you get you can't. I mean, anyone who says I just post and then I put it away, without checking the comments or like, go fuck yourself.
Well, you gotta check the noties.
I mean, come on,
the notifications. Yeah. But and I hate that I just said that.
I was gonna say something.
That was so gross.
Yeah, it's okay. You said it for yourself.
But yeah, if you just post, check the notifications, and get out, there's promise. So let's talk about. I want to talk about the tools that you've learned. You've impressed me a lot with them.
Thanks.
And I don't know if it's about, why don't we do that negative person in your life?
Uh-huh.
You know, we all have that negative person in our life who pushes us, whether subconsciously or consciously, and we can fall into a pattern of, you know, feeling constantly bad. How do you, and you can explain better what I just tried to bring up, like, how do you handle those situations and what have you found is like good to, why don't you just take over?
I'm going to take the floor here. I'm going to address everything you said, but just the way I feel like
just rephrase it because I started spacing out. I think I got tired.
I'm so tired.
I have
no thoughts.
We're so tired. Who wouldn't hate us?
No.
We're so busy and we're so tired. I'm brain dead.
I'm fried.
I'm brain dead.
I'm fried. I'm done. Chelsea, I'm so glad that we're going to talk about self-help and self-esteem and turning negativity into positivity.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so glad that we're talking about it. I spoke to a life coach once, and this was 4 months ago.
Really?
Actually, pretty recently.
What else did they tell you?
Well, so she did this exercise with me where she had me close my eyes, and then she said, say all of the most loving things to yourself. And put yourself in the place where you feel most happy. And where are you? Okay. And then I was following that logic. And she goes, now go to a place where you feel like someone is telling you all of the worst things about yourself and you're not happy. Put yourself in an environment where you're not happy. And she said, who is that person?
Mom.
Me.
Fuck.
Yeah, really bad. It was really bad. But it's really interesting that you were able to pinpoint it. You know what I mean?
Me or mom. Mostly me, right?
Mine was me.
Yeah.
And it's because I'm my own worst enemy now, which for me is growth. Because I used to have, you know, my parents' voice in my head and ex-boyfriends and anyone that I could give my power over to. It's like I would select someone to then decide whether or not I was worthy or good enough. I would put all of my self-esteem in another person. And so I stopped doing that. So then when I did that exercise, instead of being sad, I definitely cried, but I also felt excited. I was like, oh, the only toxic person left in my life is me.
And what are you supposed to do from there?
Well,
what do you do when you hear that negative voice?
Well, so now she said you have to give that negative voice something to do. And like give it a name and talk to it. And I was like, great, I already talked to myself. I'm a crazy person. But yeah,
what's their name?
Balthazar. But I think...
Are you serious? Wait, did you know that me and Steven want to name our son Balthazar?
No.
Because Balthazar Randolph, I mean, like he'd come out of me in a crown. You know what I mean? Okay. Is he really Balthazar?
Stop.
That's bad.
I'm so embarrassed.
That's bad.
Wait,
why are you embarrassed?
That's like what a weird name to choose for.
It's great. Do you call him Balti for short?
No, because it's me. You know.
All right.
So I'm like, Balthazar, go to your room.
Because you picked a male name?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think I do have a lot of masculine energy.
Same.
And it's it helps us in a lot of ways. But I think I named it that because I have a hard relationship to men. I've always given my power to men or given my self-worth or self-esteem to them to then decide whether or not I'm worthy.
Yeah.
And it goes back to my dad. And then it'll go to any authority figure. Historically, if I look throughout my life, any man in the room who's older than me, I'd give my power over to. And I'm happy to kind of be out of that now. But, I know that for me, when I do negative self-talk, I will say it honestly doesn't happen that much anymore.
Really?
But yeah, 100%.
What?
Yes.
Let's do an example.
Okay.
You have a negative thought.
Okay. Wow, Leah, you look fat today. Okay, there's my thought. Because that's the most likely one, let's be honest.
And then,
Leah, stop, you're fine. Do you really think you're fat? Like, do you know what fat looks like? Do you think you're fat?
No.
Do you look fine in your jeans? Do you have friends and family who love you? Are you doing well in your life? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay. Is this a life or death situation? No. Are you just finding something to pick on about yourself so that you can set yourself up for failure today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty quick.
So, you know what I love about that is I love the idea of it and I definitely am going to try it, but it's hard to remember and to like hook into that rather than just like, when you get so used to doing that, how do you start suddenly creating this new habit?
I think it's just because I've become so comfortable with myself. There are still things I don't like about myself that are insecurities. And I think, I can always make myself crazy about them if I choose to, but it's just such a waste of time. And I think maybe a way of getting into it more often, of just being able to turn it over. If you can find one of those questions that affects you the most after you have that thought, if, for example, for you, if I was like, okay, like, oh, wow, you look so fat. And if the first thought you have is, do you know what fat is? Like, if that is a question that works for you, you know what I mean? Like reversing it on yourself.
What?
Or if it's like, are you trying to sabotage yourself today with that question? I mean, I have a problem with being late. And
really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You're always on time.
Recently. Like, I would say I've been working on it for the last year, but historically I'm super late. Like, every job I've been late to.
Really?
Yeah.
So you know what my therapist told me that means? It's about being hidden anger. Did you know that?
I thought mine was about being seen.
Oh, okay.
Because as a child, but I love that, and that's probably also super true. Mine, anger toward what?
I don't know. Either at themselves or the person or thing they're having to do.
For me, I think that also makes sense. It's kind of all in the same vein.
Yeah.
Because for me, as a kid, I knew that it was a way for me to get attention. Whereas Leah, and then I would come running down the stairs. So for me, it was a way to be seen. And I think that made me feel loved. And so now I show up late so that people notice me, I think.
Did anyone talk to you about showing up late ever?
Honestly, no.
Wow.
But it is something that I notice. And
so you're aware that you're late and you're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But then were you okay with it for a while until you hit a bottom with it?
I used to just make a lot of excuses and I was tired of lying to people.
You know what's crazy? I have two friends who are like this. I don't recall you being one of them. You're not one of these two.
Yeah.
I don't recall you being late really any more than I was ever late. You know what I mean? But it's like insane and incessant.
Yeah.
And like, I want to call them out, but it's so uncomfortable. I don't want to.
It's a hard thing to call people out. I used to have a girlfriend in New York who was an hour and a half late to everything.
That's insane.
We would be wrapping. She'd be like, "Oh, I'm on my way." We're like, "We're done eating dinner."
It's so disrespectful, and people don't. Okay, well, I forgot that you're one of them.
Well, no, but I'm never an hour and a half late. You know what I mean? I'm like a 5 to 10 minute later.
Yeah, I was like that too for a very long time.
Right, and I think so. This is like one of the demons I've really tried to fix recently because I can just dilly dally until I have to leave, and then I know I'll be late. You know what I mean? Then I'll have to race. It's almost like you're an adrenaline junkie where you're like, let me see how fast I can drive to get there and like make up the time. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And so for me now, I'll look at my watch and I'll be like, okay, what time do you have to leave? Okay, you have to leave at 6:30. Great. And then it turns 6:33 and I'm like, do you want to sabotage yourself today? And then I'm like, okay, I'll just leave right now. And then when I started showing up on time places, it felt really uncomfortable.
Really?
I wanted a prize. I wanted to be like, don't you see that I've shown up before you? I'm a minute early.
Yeah.
Like, don't I deserve something? And it's like, no, this is how normal people operate.
Yeah.
Like, it's not. But I think that was a negative behavior of mine. And it goes in the same thing as self-talk, negative self-talk, where it's a defect, a character defect that I wanted to change. And so for me now, anytime anything comes up like that, I think I really go to like, am I sabotaging myself intentionally? If so, why? Do you really want to sabotage yourself? Do you not think you're worth it? Or do you not think you deserve it? And I think now, because I do actually have self-esteem, that I can show up. You know?
And these are self-esteem building behaviors.
Yeah.
And did the life coach say anything else? I've never been to one. I'm just curious to know.
It was a phone session.
Okay.
And I don't really like that was my one takeaway.
Yeah.
I can't really think of anything else that seems memorable.
So what's your advice on stopping that negative for that negative person in your life who's always trying to put you down when it's not yourself, when it's an actual person who you talk to all the time?
Right. So I would say I'm very grateful that I don't really have anyone in my life like that anymore, except there are some people that are blood related.
That's what we're talking
about.
Right? That's what we're here to talk about.
Any friends that I used to have like that. Mm-hmm. I think there were a lot of friends I used to have that were attached to my old narrative.
Wow.
And were very uncomfortable with me growing into who I am today.
Yes.
And because of that, I cannot have a relationship with them or a relationship that they want. So when you stop pleasing people, people will not be pleased. So for me, when I put boundaries up, I can tell other people are uncomfortable, but it's really about just, I have to put myself first. And if that relationship doesn't feel good, it doesn't get to be in my life. If it's not supportive, if it's not positive, your negativity, your comments about how something could have been better without saying, hi, hello, how are you? Just outright with a negative comment. Yeah, I'm done with that. How
do you respond? So say you're on the phone with a family member.
Sure.
Who's a little negative and who's like, oh, how was that thing? Was there no one there? Or like whatever it is. How do you respond and get off you?
So now when I hear other people doing this, same thing with friend or family, it's all kind of the same. I just see people who are afraid to grow. And they're afraid of change and they're afraid of you changing, because if you changing and you're getting better, that means that they're somehow worse.
Wow.
And in their mind, it lowers their self-esteem. Like if you succeeding means they're failing.
Yeah.
But there's no comparison. Their life is up to them at any point. You can change your day at any minute. And I think that when I get into a situation where someone decides to be in fight or flight with me or decides to be negative, I just get off the phone really quickly. And I don't share as much personal information. I kind of just give generals. Because I think that people who tend to have a lot of negative behaviors, who are super close to us, have more negative behaviors than we're even seeing. It's like the tip of the iceberg. So for me, I don't need to be a point of gossip for you. So I don't give you as many details anymore, because then you go and tell those details to other people. And I have no control over whether or not they do that. But I think, I prefer to just have my life not be a secret, but just I can keep my life private. I can keep what feels good and what feels bad to myself. If I feel like sharing a victory, that's great. If I don't, also great. If I share a victory and then you shit on it, I just feel bad for you.
Wow.
I feel bad that you can't be happy for me because you're so sad about your life.
Whoa. But did it take you a minute to get there?
Yeah, I used to take everything super personally.
Me too.
That's my biggest defect.
Yeah.
I mean, I still take things personally. This is not a perfect process, and by no means do I feel like I'm cured or that I'm always going to feel this way. But today I do, which is really cool. And I know that, people will choose to live in chaos if they want to. Mm-hmm. And they kind of want to suck you back in because then misery loves company. Mm-hmm. And it makes them feel safe if they can control you or if they can triangulate you or manipulate you into being like them. But it's just too bad because you're not.
You know what's thank you for that. You know what? It's something that the littlest switch that I started changing in my life is just having a more positive outlook. That has changed everything for me.
Me too. It's
insane. I just I used to complain, why does this person get that? That was my last year. I look back, I was so bitter. Mm-hmm. Why am I not getting this? I'm doing all this. When's my turn to get this and that? I feel like why was a huge thing that I said last year. Then I had this whole experience over the Christmas break where I just had sort of a spiritual enlightenment of how to perceive things and kind of look at things and change. And ever since that switch was made, things just have flowed to me. And the people who I used to be like, fuck that bitch, I was like, I'm just going to be fucking nice to them and take that wall down. And it just feels so much better. It's so much easier to go up to someone and give them a hug and be like, hey, to someone who used to you know what I mean? In this business when you're kind of hating on them and it's enough.
Yeah.
Enough.
What was the switch? Do you know?
What do you mean? What incited it?
Yeah.
So what happened was this. Over the Christmas break, someone I'm close to went through. Oh, Steven, I guess he already talked about it publicly. Steven had a manic episode. And it was really, really scary. And he was obsessing over pitching a show. And I saw how the focus on career, which is something that I had, I saw what it could do to a person. And I just like had this switch where I was like, I don't want to be like that, you know, because I get like that too. It's like, it's just like putting that first. And, you know, as someone who's sober in 12-step programs, people always like, put yourself first and everything, and sobriety first and recovery first, and everything else falls into place. That's like a common saying in 12-step groups. And I guess just in self-care in general, putting yourself first. Yeah. And I was always putting my work first and putting it on a higher pedestal. And my outlook, you know, was negative. And I just had this like switch where over the Christmas break, you know, when he was feeling better, and we went to an AA meeting every single day in New York on my trip. We didn't end up doing stand-up when we went home for Christmas. I went to 6 meetings in a row, and I just came back and I said, I don't want to be on social media anymore. And I took a break from social media in January when I came back. I started listening to this daily hypnosis meditation that someone, a hypnotherapist gave me on positivity. So I was waking up listening to this positivity. I was doing morning pages. I was working out. I was going to meetings. I was putting this spiritual checklist first before everything else. And it just changed everything for me. And I just started to have a different outlook and to focus. And I truly wanted that focus for myself. It wasn't like I was doing it to get things, but the things started coming. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I had never operated that way before. And it really shifted things for me. And, you know, it's hard to get back to that perfect spiritual place that I had the first 2 weeks of January. But I've maintained and kept up a lot of these, you know, things that I've been doing. And it's just, you know, I just feel like I see things differently now. And I feel like things also just kind of just started adding up together. You know, like things just started clicking when I stopped making things so difficult. And I started to just do things a little simpler. And then like some sort of like burden on my life just got lifted, sort of thing. I don't know. Things just feel easier and lighter and smoother now.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
And you?
Yeah, I think that since I've been working on myself and I've turned this corner with my self-esteem finally, which took years, that I've been open to success.
Yes. It's like open. And it's like we do all this work and think eventually it just starts clicking. Mm-hmm. But maybe it's like you don't feel like anything is happening. It's like if you are trying to lose weight and you're working out every day and you're like, my body's not changing. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I see a different result now.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it just does all add up. You're right. And it's one of those things where we haven't been here for that long. Mm-hmm. And I think there are people that I compare myself to. I don't compare despair anymore. Yeah. But there are people I used to compare myself to that have been here for 15 years.
I know. Isn't that insane?
And it's like, no, you have to just stay in your own lane, focus on yourself, do the work, and you'll get what's meant for you.
Yeah. I started telling myself, and I truly believe it for the first time, like, oh, I'm doing really well.
Yeah.
Like comparatively to like, what I've done for myself since when I moved here to now, I'm like a completely different person. And it's like, let's celebrate that instead of comparing myself to someone who, we're all on the different path sort of thing.
100%.
But it's like crazy to actually believe that instead of just pretending you believe it.
I know what you mean. I told myself I was proud of myself the other day.
Yeah.
And I believed it and I meant it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I feel like I did a 180.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have to explain myself anymore to people. I don't have to justify, argue, defend, explain myself to people. I just show up how I want to, when I want to. I'm honest. I do what feels good for me. I make choices that align with my spiritual practice. Different person.
Wow.
Different person.
Leah, I'm just noticing we're going to have to wrap up here.
Oh my God.
I have work soon.
Okay.
You have a podcast coming out. What's it called?
I do, Chelsea. It's called Falling in Love with Leah Lamarr. Ironically, it's not about me at all. Wow. I bring 2 single friends on the podcast to see if they fall in love. We do the 36 questions that lead to love. I make them stare into each other's eyes for 4 minutes of uninterrupted eye contact. They then go on a date.
Whoa.
Come back and
really?
And wrap up with me individually and let me know if it's a yes or a no.
How long is the date?
Depends.
Okay.
And if both people say yes, then they have to exchange numbers, and then I follow up with them and make sure that they go on a date. And then I feel like a weird yenta. And then they have to come back and do a wrap-up episode on the podcast.
Wow. So that's a full circle episode.
It's a lot. So the first episode I just released, you can check it on iTunes or Spotify, I love it. It's really incredible. You hear 2 people really, truly connect.
Whoa.
And at the end of the episode, they agree to go on dates. And so the next episode I'm releasing is a wrap up with them 6 weeks later of how they've been dating since the podcast.
Wow. And Leah, cool. You have a web series?
Chelsea, I do.
Tell them.
It's called The Real Witches of West Hollywood. Instagram at Real Witches of WeHo. It's what you think it is. We are making fun of the Real Housewives, but we're witches. We're half Jews, half witches, Jewish. You get it.
Wow.
You can find us on YouTube. And yeah, I mean, you can also find me on Instagram at Leah Lamarr.
Okay.
LeahLamarr.
Whoa.
What was that?
That was lightning.
Was that God telling me that?
I don't know.
What
was it?
More followers soon, or?
I think we're going to go with that positive outlook.
Yeah.
Leah, thank you so much for coming.
Chelsea, thanks for having me. What a pleasure.
Bye.